Howdy, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday live Self-Reliance Festival live stream. This is a good time when, if you've been wondering something, I don't know what, a question, you could totally ask it. And Tactical, if you are listening to this, please get your dog out of my house. She is barking. Anyway, because it always happens when I start the live stream. He walks out the door, puts his dog in my house, and then she starts barking. And she ends up on all the live streams. Anyway, so if you want to ask a question about Self-Reliance Festival or anything else, please put it in the comments in all caps, at least the first word or two so I can see it, because my eyes aren't what they used to be, guys. I just had to run out and get my glasses. So today we got Mama Sauce. Mama Sauce, say hello.
Hello.
And we've got Tag from Life Done Free. Tag, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good. Just doing my thing,
Are you ready for the festival?
I am. I'm actually excited about going. It was I had a really good time last time I was down there.
Yeah, I did too. I think that was the first time I wasn't completely panicked for the whole event. That's the last one. Just to be blunt. Yeah. And so I had a good time at the last one. You had a good time at the last one. You started telling me some stuff about what happened after you left the last Self-Reliance Festival. Yeah. And I was like, man, we got to get him on and talk about that. So let's start there. So you went to Self-Reliance Festival. What were you expecting? Was it what you expected?
Yeah, it was different. My a little bit different than what I expected. Just because it was way more business than I had expected, if that makes sense when I say that.
You like business content?
Yeah, no, it was just more what's the word I would use? Regimented. Like I'm saying, there was this, then this, then this. It was very structured.
Yeah.
Throughout it, when most of the ones that I had spoken at before were a little more loose. And so it was a little bit different for me. It was good though. It was good.
Yeah.
I got to, tell my story, which was cool. And everyone welcomed me. Hey, Uncle Bodie's in here. What's up, buddy? I know most of these people, but anyway, what's cool about it is the festival is cool. I like speaking. I like telling the story. But that's really not where the gold comes from, in my opinion. That's just kind of what gets everybody there, but
yeah.
But for me, what was cool is I met some amazing people. And, there's some of the people that I met there last year that I talked to weekly. And in fact, two of them that I met at the SRF Festival are right here in my county right now as we speak, working on land that they had purchased between the time I was at the festival and now.
Yeah.
And, they're putting in driveways and they're doing this and they're doing that. We've got a big potluck we're going to do on Sunday just to hang out with everybody. But when it was all said and done, I met a farm out of Missouri that I've become very close friends with. I've had two people buy land around where I live and have joined into our community.
Mm-hmm.
I've met another guy that now I'm doing business with. So I met all kinds of these cool connections that have turned out to be these great friends, and so that was not at all what I expected. I would have went just purely for that.
Yeah, I was talking about that the other day, like, because you and I are both speaking at Next Steps in a couple weeks. And I said, I'm really excited about the speakers there. And just like Self-Reliance Festival, I'm, 99.9% certain that the thing I'm going to get out of that is I'm going to meet some people there who I needed to meet.
Yeah.
And that's the way most events go is the people you meet, if it's the right kind of event.
Yeah.
They're the ones you need to have. So what was your network like before Self-Reliance Festival and how did it change after?
Yeah. So our community here has about 900 inactive people.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by inactive is that's just the total size of them. Active, we've got about 150, and then we've got 50 who really do it all. And you know how that works, right?
Yeah.
And so, we added a few families to that, which was great. But I'll tell you something that's interesting is, there's a lady right here in the chat who she didn't come into my community or anything like that. They live a state away, but I mean, I talk to her weekly about what projects they've got going on. So I think to answer your question, what grew for me, we gained a few families, which was great, and active families, people who are going to be active in everything we do. But the other thing, I gained some relationship, Dog Creek Farm. There's another one right there.
Yeah. Hello, Dog Creek Farm.
Yeah. So I met Dog Creek at the Self-Reliance Festival, and he's got a fascinating story. You want to get someone on to talk about going from, being bankrupt and to a free man? That's a good story.
All right.
And he'd be a good one to talk to. But anyway, I've just met all of these friends that now I get to talk to all the time and have taken me to weird places, which is pretty cool. So my community was basically impacted by a handful of families, but the network, the like-minded network, was impacted huge.
Yeah.
Porterhouse and Teal. There's another one.
Yeah. He's
Eric.
going to be back. You know
Yeah,
that,
good
right?
guy. Yeah, I do. I do know that.
We got the cat visitor.
Yeah, him and I are going to hang out some.
That's awesome. Well, do you want to bring Dog Creek? Do you want to come on out of curiosity? Because I have the power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great story.
Yeah, Dog Creek. Just let me know. I'll throw a link, and other guys who see the link, it's for Dog Creek.
Yep. There's another one, LJC, which is down in your comments. I met at the Self-Reliance Festival and talk to you all the time.
Yeah.
Great people. Just absolutely great people.
Did you meet them at your booth or just out and about? How did you did they come up to you after you talked? How'd that all go down?
All different. I didn't have a booth there, but it was just walking around. People walk up to me and say, "Hey, Tag, I got a question for you," or whatever, and I'm not a shy guy. So, just started chit-chatting, and then next thing you know, I'm talking to them all the time. And what's crazy about it is like, I'll give you an example, Porterhouse and Teal. There are some things he does on his farm that we've now incorporated in our farm that make our farm better. I mean, he's taken away from me, but he's impacted my community just being him,
Sweet. Dog Creek says, I'm bringing my son this year, but do you want to jump on the live? That's the question, Dog Creek.
Yeah, he's a good, fascinating story. I really enjoyed it. I did an interview with him. Just really good guy. Yeah,
well, Porterhouse is like, he's exploded. I mean, he's basically exploded his following on YouTube after that. He went home, got serious about posting consistently, and I don't know. And he grew by more than 10,000 followers.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, he told me, "Thanks for inspiring me, Tag." And I told him, "Dude, you're the one doing the inspiring. What do you think me for,
Yeah.
But super good guy. I can't wait to hang out with him. Just cannot wait.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that. So event manager, Mama Sauce, anything we need to know about?
It's so exciting. We've got so many speakers who are talking about so many wonderful different things. So many of them really practical, go home and start working type stuff. I'm excited. And I've spent my entire day doing, I was going to say, Dear Diary, I've spent my day trying to figure out what I haven't done and get it done.
Look at all these happy faces. So we've added a lot since last week. Of course, we've known that Tag was on the list. Mike Shelby, we talked about last week. He was late breaking news last week. Chuck Peoples is going to be there. Dana McClendon is going to be there. Bear Independent is now confirmed. Evan Dixon's doing off-grid comms. Jason Routbart, Distilling for Fuel. And guys, some of these people haven't gotten their headshots in. I was like, just get them on the site. So Solar on the Cheap from Sean Mills, and he and Tag have some crossover, but they've worked out who's talking about what. Bruce DeVries is talking about charcoal and biochar. Brian and Susan are talking about ham radio for regional communications. So I think they're doing the high frequency stuff. Angela and Garen Allard. You know who that is, right, Tag?
Grumpy.
Oh, yes.
Grumpy Acres. They're doing a presentation on food preservation methods. I'm very happy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Donald.
I knew they were going to put up a booth, but I did not know they were speaking. That's pretty cool. Who do you know if it's Garen or Angela? Which one's speaking?
I don't know which one's speaking, but Angela is the one who's been emailing me. So could be Angela, could be Garen, could be in both.
Yeah. Well, I want to know just so I can torture them.
Okay. Well, do you know how to reach them?
Oh, are you kidding me? They live 8 miles from me. Yeah.
Well, look who's in the chat. Paul Wheaton.
Wow.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, Paul Wheaton. How's it going? I noticed you're not on the site yet. You know why? Because we're not announcing you till next week. But anybody who's on this live might know that you are coming to speak. That I'm doing a big old ramp up to roll his out because he just came to in the last couple days. But yeah, Paul Wheaton's totally going to speak. Yes, holy crap! The Duke of Permaculture is going to be there, and we're. I understand he likes pie, but he prefers to eat pie after his presentation and not before. That's what he told us when we had him on live the other day. We've got Confessions of an Ambulance Driver from Donald Young. Don't be a bitch. You need strength training. Stephen Boone. and understanding and managing back pain on your own, David Swiney. So that's a bunch of what's going on. I haven't heard back yet from the person who usually does blacksmithing, and I don't want to assume that he's doing blacksmithing, but I hope the blacksmith will be there. And we've got a whole bunch of other demos sort of in the works, but not 100% confirmed right now. So
Right.
it's really shaping up. What do you think of that lineup, Tag?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. I can't wait to meet a bunch of them, and that's kind of one of the cool things that being a speaker that goes and does this, that I really kind of like the side effect, you get out of it. You get to meet all these other cool people who have got this passion in their life and are pursuing it. So I'm super excited about it. I hope I get to meet every one of them.
You will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a world in which you don't.
Yeah, it just gets busy. You know how it is. It's zoom, 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 especially for you and John, and Mama Sauce. I watch you guys thinking, oh, I feel sorry. I should buy him a pizza.
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, Paul, you want to jump on this live and talk to us? What, Mama Sauce?
You don't want pizza, so I'll eat yours.
I eat cauliflower crust. I mean, as of today, I can chew again. This is like breaking news.
Yeah.
I was promising you guys you were going to get Nicole after dark, and then it turned out that whatever happened earlier is gone. So they were like, "Don't make any financial decisions on this day." Oh, okay.
Do the life done free thing. I like that. Smash those thumbs up.
Exactly. Paul, go to your email. I'll email you a link, and you just click on the link. So we'll bring Paul Wheaton on too. Why not?
Cool. Yeah, I think the thing I would tell everybody while you're doing that, Nicole, about, going to festivals like this, and whether it's the Self-Reliance Festival or the one in Georgia or the Midwest Preparedness or any of them, it's really about community, and it's about networking, and guys, I'm going to tell you something. Together is all we have. You can see it or you can not see it, but I'm telling you, together is all we have. And so I think the more of those networks we build, the better we are, and the closer we get to that parallel economy that I think we all dream of, that we all work so hard towards. Can Squatch, what's up, bud? So I think get out there, go meet everybody.
Yeah. Well, when Self-Reliance Festival first started, John was like, "Hey, I want to do something." And he had a network and I had a network, and I was more homesteadery. He was more tactical. And we brought those two things together, and it just turned into a really cool event. And then as more people like you, Tag, and different speakers who have their own networks of doers come, it's like it gets bigger and bigger, and it's people who do, which is awesome.
Yes.
So, yeah, and so that's where we're going to next steps in a couple weeks. That's a whole network of people who are doers who I have not met.
Yeah, super cool.
And I'm excited about that. I'm hoping some of them come to Self-Reliance Festival, but it's interesting once you've been there how that works. Paul, can we hear you yet?
I give up. Can you?
Yes. Paul Wheaton is on the live.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to head to bed. You guys are on the East Coast and you're still up?
Yeah. I know, it's country midnight, isn't it?
It's like 6 o'clock. Oh geez, that's even early for me. I was thinking time to wrap up the day. I've been up since 4:30. It's time to finish.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, what's on the YouTubes? And then YouTube said, "Oh, you should look at this."
YouTube does that to me a lot. It particularly thinks that I should be looking at characteristic of being autistic or like the difference between that and ADHD. So apparently I've been something about what I've been doing has made it target that with me. So don't know why. I've learned a lot about autism in the last 2 weeks though on YouTube. Because it's not like, I'm like, well, actually I am interested in that. I will watch that. It worked. YouTube wins. So Paul, we're not going to announce anything about you coming to Self-Reliance Festival, but tell us what you're going to talk about while you're there.
Well, so I'm going to reveal things that maybe I shouldn't reveal. And you asked my peeps for me to talk about natural building.
Yes.
And so and then I said, well, I guess what we're going to talk about is the greenhouse wafati, the wafatis, and probably the berm shed, stuff like that. Because you said 45 minutes, and it's like, oh wow, getting all this to fit in the 45 minutes, that'll be a squeeze. And then I said that if you agree to fly out one of my assistants, I'll do a second presentation, and that one would be on rocket cooktops, the rocket kiln, rocket hot water, and probably, rocket mass heaters. Oh, and the Lorena. I think that the Lorena is amazing. So that's the rocket thing where the pot is lowered into a hole where there's a rocket engine below it, and the flames hit the pot directly, and so it's like when you're trying to get water to boil for canning, that can take an hour. But we took a full pot of water, because usually you only need like half a pot of water or so, maybe even less than half a pot. But we took a full pot. We got a full pot of water boiling in 15 minutes. And so what would it be, like 7 minutes for the normal amount for canning? So, but the thing is that you put the pot in the hole, and it blasts the flame onto the bottom of the pot, and it heats from the sides of the pot. Mm-hmm. And so but it's an outdoor kitchen. It's an outdoor kitchen thing. It can only be an outdoor kitchen thing. But basically,
but you should be canning outside anyway in the summer, because otherwise you will heat up your house.
And
right, Tag? Is that how you guys do it there?
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah. Otherwise it gets way too hot. But the other thing is, it was like all off grid. You want it all off grid, and it's like, oh yeah, we got tons of off grid for you. So there's probably about a dozen different topics that we've already got presentations for.
Yeah.
But that was kind of what was left in front of me. They're like, oh, Nicole wants natural building. So, and we've got an outdoor kitchen started here. But then also the other thing is when harvest comes on in the fall, because we had this solar food dehydrator, which is really amazing at dehydrating food on a sunny day. And it's like, man, I wish we could do that. Like, what if the weather turns or night comes around? And so we made another solar food dehydrator that's just crazy jumbo huge, with a rocket assist. And so what you do is that when evening's coming around, you just build a small fire. It warms up a bunch of rocks in there, a bunch of big ass rocks, which will hold the heat through the night and keep the air moving through. So that's our solar food dehydrator with rocket assist, which is great for the fall when you're getting in all your foods and stuff and you need to dry them all. Anyway, I don't know. You asked me what I'm going to be talking about. And
you said what I wanted you to tell me. So when I said natural building, I was just thinking to myself, what I really want is a deeper dive into the Wofati. Right. And he's like, I'll do something about Wofatis. I was like, yes, because it's a perfect fit with Tag's, because Tag has an off-grid homestead and has like changed his life, his approach to life, as well as has a very comfortable off-grid homestead.
Yep.
And he'll be presenting. We've got Sean Mills doing some things about solar on the cheap, and then adding Wofatis to that, which means like if you build in a way that reduces the need for heating and cooling.
Heat. Yeah. I had a presentation that I gave at a preparedness conference a couple of months ago about the truly passive greenhouse, which is a Wofati greenhouse.
Yeah.
And Bo said, yeah, but we can't use that because Nicole's people, they don't want to hear about greenhouse stuff. They want to hear about the joinery. They want to hear about the roundwood timber framing that we do inside of the Wofatis. That's what her people.
I'm sure they will want to hear about that. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, we could do that. I love talking.
How did
about
they know
joinery.
that? Did they like interview my people?
I think my peeps are already like, consuming your stuff is what is my guess. I mean, when do Jack keeps telling me about that podcast, and it's like, Jack, I think I've listened to 3 of your podcasts for all time. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm really not a podcast consumer. I don't know why people listen to my podcast. So,
Yeah.
but the key is that, so I'm right. The joinery is what your peeps want to hear about, because I think the berm shed is a good one. And then I think that, boy, we really, for the roundwood timber framing, we really knocked it out of the park with the greenhouse, with the Wofati greenhouse. And we really kind of we've got a movie about the greenhouse, and we go into a lot of detail about the joinery in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And that'll be cool. They'll be really interested in that. Okay. So here's the deal, guys. We are live streaming on 4 YouTube channels right now. And so I saw a comment like, I know who Tag is, but who are these other people? And it occurred to me, depending on which channel you come here from, you may not know who we are. So I'm Nicole Sauce from the Living Free in Tennessee podcast, and I work with a fellow named John Willis from Special Operations Equipment to put on a festival twice a year. It's called the Self-Reliance Festival. We do this in Camden, Tennessee. It's about an hour from Nashville. And if you want to know more about the Self-Reliance Festival, it's selfreliancefestival.com. And Tag is going to be speaking there, and Paul Wheaton is going to be speaking there. And if you want to learn about knitting, you can totally hit up Mama Sauce for that. I'll be speaking there as well about smart homesteading. So that's sort of the context for tonight's discussion. And Tag came on to explain last time he was there, he made so many good relationships that his network changed in his immediate area, which was cool. And then Paul was in the comments, so I was like, well, Paul should hop on, because I'm not going to announce that he's speaking at Self-Reliance Festival till next week, but now the cat's out of the bag. That's okay. So that's who I am. Tag, tell everybody who you are, and we'll let everybody just do a one-line, whatever.
Yeah, I'm Tag from the YouTube channel Life Done Free. I'm also the founder of freesteading.com, which is a social media platform designed to connect homesteaders and people together. I'm an off-grid homesteader in Northeast Kansas, and my channel really focuses mostly on freedom and how to starve the beast and how to take our freedoms back. And I got hooked up with Nicole from the last Self-Reliance Festival when I spoke down there, and they graciously asked me to come back and speak, and so I think that's why I'm here.
Yep. Okay. Paul Wheaton. Who's Paul Wheaton? Duke, permaculture. Okay, go ahead.
so hey, and look, I got this was from Sepp Holzer. It says the Duke. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can kind of see it's dark a little bit.
I feel pretty proud of that. Sepp Holzer having given that to me. But all right. I'm in Montana. And I have produced more than a dozen movies about off-grid stuff. And I have written 2 books that are fancy and printed and things like that. And they sell very well, I am told. And I've got a few more books. In fact, the book I get asked about the most is actually a book I never formally published, but I released a draft like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and I never did finish it. But it's like, people are bonkers about that. Oh,
hey, Mom, now you know why I'm friends with this guy. Okay, keep going.
And then there's the permaculture playing cards.
Those are cool.
So rocket mass heater stuff. And I host a bunch of events. We've got the free BB20 event coming up in April. And then it's our summer events of the permaculture design course for scientists and engineers. And then is the permaculture technology jamboree. And then the skip event. And then in the fall, I'll be hosting the rocket mass heater jamboree. And then we are gearing up to do a new Kickstarter, hopefully in about 4 weeks. And it'll be we're calling it the Low Tech Movie, but basically it's a movie of last year's Permaculture Technology Jamboree. Let's see, you're asking me, who am I? Oh, I've got this huge website, Permies.com. It's got, we looked it up the other day. It's like 300,000 registered users. It's gets 1.8 million visitors per month and 25 million page views per month. And wasn't it you, Nicole, that said it's the last forum on the internet?
So it's a forum that works. Like, you go and you ask a question and people answer you, and they don't like pile on and tell you you're a terrible person for asking the question or a stupid person for asking that question, or then give you a bunch of wrong answers. you usually just get a helpful answer that is based in some semblance of experience with the topic. So for me, this is a big deal because, like, if you go onto the Backyard Chicken forum and ask, like, hey, my chicken's looking a little ratty and I'm worried about her, and you're going to get, like, that chicken has every disease known to mankind. It's been attacked by animals. And maybe somewhere there, somebody might mention that chickens molt. Maybe. Which, when your chicken's looking ratty, what's the first thing you think?
Yeah, molting. Molting. Wait, no,
there are feathers all over the yard. The chicken looks ratty. I stopped getting eggs. It's molting.
Yeah. I think that a lot. Yeah, there used to be stuff like that on Permies, and we just deleted it. And then if we have to delete somebody's post so often, we just ban them. It's just less work. And then so now, after all of these years of this process, we've got people that have been on there 10 or 15 years that are just lovely. And then the people that were grumpy, we locked them out. And so every once in a while we'll get a grumpy person, but hey, it turns out that our delete button is still working.
Tag, do you find that you have to do a lot of any maintenance in your community to keep kind of the positive momentum going?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's, humans are humans. And because they're humans, they're flawed. We're all flawed, right? And so you got some of that going on. But luckily for me, my community, specifically on YouTube, is we're pretty tight knit, and then I know tons of them, and so they kind of police themselves a lot. I've had several of them tell someone else to knock it off, and I didn't have to do anything. So which is pretty cool. But I don't get a lot of it. We get a little.
Yeah. What about at Freesteading? I haven't seen any of that on Freesteading.
Not really. When we set out to do that, I asked everybody, hey, if you guys want this free platform and you want me to keep it free, you have to help me police it.
Yeah.
And if you help me police it, I'll keep it free forever. And I won't, that's just the way it will be. But so we haven't had a lot. I've kicked one person off of Freesteading in its entire life.
Wow.
One.
A thing happened.
I bet I've banned 20,000 spammers.
Yeah.
And I bet I've banned more than 20 people for just being hostile.
Yeah.
And so, but there's a lot of traffic, and then it's like, help me police it. Then you'll get people who come and they say, I am helping you police it. I'm beating this shit out of these people over here that need a good beating.
And you're like, no.
So I don't know. It's different people have different ideas of what that means.
What's necessary, right?
Yeah. There was one guy that I met. He was a permaculture leader, and he kept calling this one guy stupid. And so I would delete it, and then he'd be really upset with me that I deleted it. And he's like, how is this person going to learn that they're stupid if I don't publicly shame them in this way? And so I finally got tired of having this debate with the guy, and I just locked him out.
Yeah. It's not your job to show them that. They will realize it over time on their own.
Or it could be just a different value set. And it turned out the person that they were shaming, I thought was a pretty decent person.
Yeah.
The person doing the shaming was just not a great person. And so, and really that's the thing that I think is the key, is that when I started Permies, I had already managed several online communities. And when I started Permies, I thought it would always be tiny. And I said, look, there's only one rule, be nice. And then I'll post some guidelines once in a while about what I think that means. But let's be clear. I want to run a site that talks about the things I want to talk about the way that I want to talk them. That's about it. And if you make a lot of work for me, I'm just going to ban you because that's easier. Mm-hmm. And it's like, then people say, you can't do that. That's not the way the internet works. And it's like, somehow it's become this massive site. And it's like, because I'm doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
I like what Jack says. He kept harassing me to get an email list put together. And he said, people are going to tell you that you're doing it wrong, and then just expel them off of your list. And it's like, if you try to please everybody, you'll please nobody.
Yep.
And so just do your own thing. And if anybody doesn't like it, just tell them to piss off.
Yeah.
That's worked out really well.
Yeah. Well, I think here's my experience with groups, just from a facilitating standpoint and networking, is some people naturally become people other people look up to in the network. They're leaders. And if you identify who those people are and empower them to set a reasonable standard, then you don't have to do that all the time, right? And if there's a reasonable standard that's consistent, the people who are your best people, who are not really looking to be in a position of leadership in the network, love it when the cancerous one is kind of ushered out the door. Or, it's kind of like when you're at an event and the speaker is talking way too long and it's like 45 minutes past when they said on the agenda it will be done. If you let that happen as an event coordinator, you're in the wrong, not the person speaking, first of all. And half the room, even though they might have stayed, all you had to say was, "Great, thank you for your talk. Those who want to continue, go for it. Everybody who wants to leave, leave." If you do that and they keep talking, that works. Or if you just keep it reasonably on time, they don't feel like you're wasting their time, even if that content's interesting. Have you ever noticed that? It's like, even if it's interesting, if you let it go way too long, people get mad. And so that's the same with communities. If you let if you give all your attention to the person who needs the most attention, who is usually the one who's causing problems, you lose all the good people.
I think that's totally true. I think all online communities wish to devolve into one of two states. The first one being one that we've all seen: 6 people in asbestos underwear flaming each other infinitely.
Yes.
And it's like, because 1,500 other people were there, but they got sick of it and they didn't have asbestos underwear, so they left. That's one. The other one is to devolve into something that is all fluff, where everybody just says nice things to each other all the time, but there's no substance. And so on Permies, what we do is, whenever anybody starts saying fluff stuff, what we do is we have as a tool in our arsenal, we have a time bomb. We set that to 4 days. So for 4 days later, that post disappears. So that way, when you go and you find a thread that's 6 months old, it's very content rich and short and to the point, and everybody's being lovely and stuff like that. We took out the stuff that requires asbestos underwear, and we took out the fluff. I mean, I think it's great when somebody says, "You're awesome. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. You're a beautiful person. And I love everything that you do." And then all these very lovely, kind, beautiful things. We allow that to stay up for 4 days. And then poof, it's gone. And so for all the people participating right then, they got all that love and happiness and charm, and then it disappeared for the people who come later, who are looking for grit. They want, does this have the answer that I'm looking for? And so we made it easier for them to find what they're looking for.
Yeah. So Paul, Tag started a social network called freestudying.com with a group of people. I don't know. It's probably not all you, Tag, right? Is it you and a couple other people?
Yeah, it's me and one other guy that started it, and I've got 2 others that help me.
Yeah. So, and their idea was that the censorship on Facebook, I think, was the motivator, and other places, is terrible. When you, like, as a homesteader, you can't even on Facebook say, "Hey, I have a St. Croix ram for sale." It's illegal to sell animals on Facebook. So they'll pull that off. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So, and I called Snow White devil dust, and that got me put in jail. Just because it was hate speech. It was hate speech. So they started freestudy.com, which is a pretty cool developing network based in the concept of allowing freedom of speech. And yet, Tag, you don't have a lot of flaming or abuse either. So how did you set the standard there for that?
Yeah. So as long as people aren't talking about hate, like I would, like the stupid guy, I would have shut that down in seconds, right? Because who made him the god of stupid? And I guarantee I could ask him 2 questions, he wouldn't have a clue what the answer was. And so anyway, so I don't put up with that. But really, it's just don't no hate speech and no violence. If you don't do those, I'll let it go.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've seen people have disagreements in there, but as soon as they start calling names, usually what I'll do is I'll message the person and tell them to knock it off. And if they do, we're good.
Yeah.
And if they don't, I'll just get rid of them. But I've only had to get rid of one. And interestingly enough, the one I got rid of is because they demanded I censor the speech of another channel, one of the other community leaders. They were
really
an community leader that I had. So Paul, our Freesteading is based upon a whole bunch of different community leaders who have channels and websites and all this. And one of them said, I don't like this channel. I don't like what they talk about. You need to censor them. And I said, no. This is a free speech platform, and I am not censoring nobody. Yeah. If you don't like their opinion, don't watch them. That's easy.
That is easy.
That's the only person I had to kick off because they demanded that I censor people, which is so amazing to me.
Don't watch that channel. It's like you can do this.
Yeah, just watch something else. I'm sure YouTube is full of stuff I don't want to ever see.
Yeah.
It's easy peasy. On Permies, we have guidelines. We don't allow anybody to suggest that anybody else on Permies is anything less than perfect. And so we know they're not perfect. You just don't have to point it out. And then the other one is this one's a little tricky. And this one sounds like, and I thought of that when you were just saying what you were saying. And it's like this one we have, it's like you're not allowed to say the truth. You're allowed to express your position. And because the moment somebody stands up and they says, this is the truth, then if somebody else has a different experience, they feel like they're entering into a conflict if they want to share their experience. And so, and I feel like I want to hear that other position. And so if somebody says the truth, that kind of prevents people, lovely, kind, gentle souls, from sharing their position. So we don't allow the truth, which is a little bit weird. But the other thing is we do not, because a lot of people have come to say, you are violating my rights of free speech. And I have to remind people, this is not free speech. This is freedom of the press. And freedom of the press belongs to those that own one. And so, because you want freedom of speech, you could sit in your chair and yell out, I like pie. And that's freedom of speech. You could go down to the street corner and yell it. You can go to the laundromat and yell it. You could probably even go to a grocery store and yell it. That is freedom of speech, which is different than freedom of the press. And so we're a very heavily moderated site. And maybe we got here because of just, lots of history. And we just had we just passed the number because each of the threads has a number. We just passed 200,000. So we've got 200,000 threads now. And unlike Facebook, we hardly encourage perennial threads. So somebody bumped one the other day that was, 15 years old. That was like cool. and it was still as relevant today as it was 15 years ago. Whereas like on Facebook, you get something where it's like 3 days old, it's gone. That conversation is over now. So anyway, let's not talk about this kind of thing. This is so now.
Well, people are interested because they start communities and they have that issue. But yes,
this is Mama Sauce.
It's Mama Sauce.
Is this your mom, Nicole?
Yes.
Okay.
That is actually my mom. I feel like the Brady Bunch on this.
Yeah.
So Mama Sauce is why the festival looks so organized when you get there. Mama Sauce and a number of other people now. But yes.
Good people.
Now, I heard that you had about 500 people there last year.
Yes.
And then, so you think you're going to do more this year?
I expect 500 at this one, unless we explode, which you never know until the last minute on that one. But I expect to see 500, and we'll see. If everybody from Permies.com grabs a ticket, then we'll have more than 500, and I will order more porta potties.
This might be the time to talk about early birds and deadlines for.
Oh yeah, so we do. So tickets right now are $75. Early bird pricing that expires February 22nd. So if you want to come, grab your ticket. It is not refundable, but it is transferable up until a week before the festival. You can email us and say, my name is blah, blah, blah. This is my order number, and I actually want it for this person. We will update that. If you transfer your ticket to somebody after a week before the event, they need to check in as you. You know, okay. At this point, we don't have people pretending to be people with fake ID to get into the event. So I'm not so much worried about that. Usually if they know the name, it is what it is, right? I think we've never had an incident where somebody tried to grab somebody else's ticket, but
no.
So that's how tickets work. After the 22nd, they go up $25 to $100. So if you think you're going to come, grab it right now. selfreliancefestival.com. The event is the 25th and 26th in Camden, Tennessee. And on the 24th, Bear Independence Crew is coming, and they're doing an emergency medical training it's an extra add-on. It's $425. You get a kit for practicing a medical stuff. It includes lunch, and his crew will be there teaching. That's also at selfreliancefestival.com. Just click on tickets and it's right there. So you can do a whole thing. In fact, if you want to go nuts, you can come Friday, do the bear class. You can do Self-Reliance Festival, where you'll hear Tag and Paul Wheaton and Nicole Sauce and a whole bunch of other cool people. We've got Joel Riles doing a defense dog demonstration, and we've got Porterhouse coming out to talk about making compost, and Grumpy Acres folks are coming out to do food preservation. We got ham radio, all sorts of stuff. Yes, I should specify the month. March 25th and 26th. 24th is medical. If you are really into ham radio, one of the ham presenters is staying after, going to Tactical Response, which is another really cool school in training center in Camden, Tennessee. So it's in the same town. He's doing From Zero to Hero on ham radio. You come out with a certification, I'm pretty sure. I don't know about the certification part, but so you can just make a whole week of it. Learn all the things, guys.
Is Camden close to Nashville?
It's an hour from Nashville. It's very rural.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So I already got my ticket, and so I'm flying into Nashville. That's the right place to fly into.
That's what you're flying into. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Paul flying in, and so is CJ Kilmer from the Dangerous History podcast. And you guys, I think, are arriving around the same time, so I may have the same person pick you up. I'm actually looking at that right now.
Delightful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Tag, are you driving or flying?
Yeah, because EMP Shield's coming down. I'm going to hitch a ride with them.
Yeah.
And we'll just drive down. It's about 9 hours for us. So.
Yeah. Yeah. EMP Shield is one of our sponsors. So thanks, EMP Shield.
Yeah. 9 hours is about a break even for me, because by the time I get to the airport from where I live, take a plane, it's about a wash for time. So we'll just drive this time. But Georgia, I'm flying.
Yeah. Georgia, I'm driving. So if you need me to bring anything, ship it here, because I'm driving down.
Now, for the event, are there tables, or is it all classes?
Tables so here's how it's set up. We have what we call the circus tent, and those are where presentations that don't require slides are. And I'll talk to your crew about that on sort of offline. There's another space that we call the garage, and it has a slide projector. It's a little bit smaller, so fewer people fit in there to watch it. And then some people do things that are more appropriate to demonstrations, like the blacksmith. We don't put the blacksmith, we don't have him drag his forge up on stage and like do all that, right? So when he's there, or we have distilling for fuel, I know will be there. So he shows you how to distill for fuel. In front of the building, and that goes on throughout the weekend. And there are usually a bunch of other sort of demonstrations you can see. And then we have vendors that link the circus tent to the garage. There's a food truck that comes, and then it's at a commercial sewing facility. So inside the factory, there are also tables. So there's vendors inside, there's vendors outside, all sorts of people showing things, selling things. It's actually pretty, that part's fun, I think.
And,
yes.
And so now when I'm presenting, where are you thinking I'm going to be presenting?
I'm thinking I want you in the circus tent if possible. So I will talk to your people about that. Yeah.
So that means no slides, right?
Can you do without slides?
I can do it without slides.
There's a big dry erase board.
But that topic's going to be tough without slides.
Well, we'll see.
It's going to be like lots of pictures and stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk offline about that. There may be a workaround for you.
Okay. All right.
Let's see. Yeah. Tag's used to the format now. So the way this happened, Paul, is that I've seen a lot of PowerPoint abuse in my time as a corporate facilitator. And PowerPoint abuse is when you write your presentation on your slides, which you don't do because I've seen your slides. So you write your presentation on your slides, and I can read your slides faster than you can speak what's on your slides, and then you lose the attention of the audience. And so when we first went there, we actually didn't have slides on purpose, so people had to be more prepared for their presentation. And I know that sounds mean and manipulative, but did it work?
Yep.
It totally worked. And so now, we have a better handle on who's ready to speak in a group like that. And so we put a big giant screen in last time so that there could be presentations and slides, because some topics just lend themselves to that better,
well, I think a Wofati is hard to wrap your head around.
Unless you see a picture of a Wofati.
Some pictures, some drawings, and then the greenhouse Wofati. We did so many things. Now, how cold does it get in Camden, Tennessee?
Boy, so Tennessee is an interesting state where sometimes the cold pushes down and sometimes the warm pushes up. So in March, it could be in the 20s to 40s, but it's probably not going to be. It's probably going to be in the 50s to 70s. But it could be that one time in that one March where it was 80. So we'll know we have a better idea of the shape of the weather close to it. The sewing factory has, climate control. So if people need to get out of the elements, they can. It is the Self-Reliance Festival, so you could wear layers. I know you can handle the cold if it's cold. He's like, that's why I'm in Montana, Nicole. So it just depends. And if it's raining, that's why we get the circus tent, and is what it is.
Well,
weather happens.
So with the greenhouse that we have, the truly passive greenhouse, there's no fans in it of any kind.
Yeah.
Then we managed to keep the temperature inside above freezing all winter, even though it was 12 below outside. That's why I was asking, does it get to 12 below? So we actually got a little colder this year, but the coldest we've ever had in the last 9 winters has been 26 below. But most of our winters get just barely below zero or doesn't get below zero most of the time.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, last winter we got to 12 below, and we didn't, and nothing in the thing is that all the trickery that we did with the design of this Wofati greenhouse to do that, I would have a really hard time conveying that with interpretive dance. Ooh, ooh,
okay.
Ooh,
I mean, I kind of want to see you do it with interpretive dance, like get people from the audience.
Me too. That's my vote. Yeah.
People will be riveted by that.
So, the slides help. The slides help a lot. And I do read my slides from time to time because they help me to remember what is it I'm supposed to talk about right here.
So in the circus tent, the speaker has a computer they can look at if they want.
Okay.
Because that's what Jack does. He has because Jack presents from slides, but not in the abusive way, which I explained. And he's like, Nicole, if I don't have slides up there, you're not going to like what happens next. And I was like, okay, well, put them on this computer. So, there's a few options for that, Paul. I'll talk to your assistants about that.
Okay.
Because the other, there's ways around. But I'm not sure people are going to fit in the garage when you speak. If we put you in the garage is my problem.
Okay. All right.
So, Yes.
Yeah. And I hope we can, bring at least 100 extra people there.
Yeah. Bring 200. Let's go for gold.
I'll see what I can do. I've
Okay.
never been to Tennessee before, so I'm not sure how many of my peeps are out there. Maybe in the chatty chat, then people who are familiar with me can sound off, and I can.
You have an idea?
Something like that. I don't know. But then again,
Yeah.
I just showed up here on a whim. I don't know if my peeps know this is going on or not. So, but I know that like you'll formally announce me, and then it'll be on there, and then we'll put it out on our mailing list.
Yeah.
And we'll reach a few people there.
Yes, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Letty's telling you to bring all the people. Tag and fam. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Chris, what's up?
Cool. Well, Tag, any other thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm excited about going down there. And I think, for everybody listening, the reason you go to these things is for community and to learn. I mean, Paul, I don't know you personally, but I am super looking forward to learning from you, bud. I really am. I live off grid. I mean, I live it every day. And, but you never stop learning in this world, especially in the homesteading world. There's always something new. So I'm excited about being down there, and I'm excited about going, and I'm, going to be fun.
Are you in a cold place, Tag?
I live in Northeast Kansas. So we had one day this year that was minus 41.
Oh man.
Now, that makes my face hurt just thinking about it.
Now, if you're off grid, you're definitely heating with wood, right? I mean,
yeah. So I have different heating sources. I have wood, obviously. I have a 5,000 square foot home off grid.
Okay.
So I mean, I have a big house, and so I have 4 fireplaces in it. I can also heat with propane in an emergency, although we don't do it very often, but I can. So yeah, it's primarily just wood. Actually, on a wood cook stove in my wife's kitchen, the one she cooks on primarily is what we use. As far as to heat on. But the truth is, we get a month of bad weather here. The rest of it's just like today was 45 degrees. It's fine. I worked outside a whole big chunk of the day, so it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to learning from you, bud. And this is coming from someone who lives it every day. I'm as off as they come. So
no, the witchcraft that is the Wofati, I'm trying to figure out if that applies or how that applies in Tennessee, because we have things to build in the holler.
Yeah.
Well, and what I hope to be able to do is to eventually build a Wofati where, like, if you were to pay the builders to build it, that it would be the first ever home that you could build that is natural building, that where the cost of building the home would be less than conventional. So, like, a lot of people are keen on straw bale, but that's going to cost you about 30% more. And if you want to build a cob homes are so inexpensive if you build it yourself and take forever. But you're going to hire folk out to build it for you, you should expect to pay at least double. Yeah. And so those kinds of things. So so with the Wofati, I'm hoping that we can optimize it to the point that it'll be the first ever home that costs less to build than conventional. And as a bonus, the annualized thermal inertia, where it'll basically use the heat from the summer to heat it through the winter. And the flip side of it is, for those warmer climates, that the cool from the winter will be, in a way, carried through to the summer. Those kinds of things. But of course, the thing is I saw an off-grid YouTube video like 2 days ago, and they were so proud of their off-grid thing, and they had their wood stove, and they're like, here we are getting the wood to heat, to put in our wood stove, and he built a big ass fire. And then it's like, okay, now here I am cleaning the chimney, and I'm just kind of going, oh. And what I want, of course, is, like, if you're going to travel that road, at least get a rocket mass heater. And so I actually ended up contacting the guy and saying rocket mass heater. And then he started talking about insurance. And I had to say, like, no. Insurance companies think rocket mass heaters are 10 times better than a conventional wood stove like yours. And so they've learned, they love them. I mean, the reason why an insurance company doesn't like a wood stove has to do with the dead bodies from when you get a chimney fire, which is why you're up there cleaning it. And rocket mass heaters never get a chimney because basically they've domesticated the chimney fire. That's how a rocket mass heater works. So it uses it all. There's no creosote in your system. So anyway, sorry, Tag. Yeah, I just, you say off grid and my mind just goes zippity doodah down that road. And I'm like, oh, I want you to use a rocket mass heater.
Yeah, Paul, listen, but I don't claim to know everything. I know what I know because I've gone down the road I've gone down, but I'm learning every day, and I'm learning how to be more efficient every day, how to be freer every day, how to do things better. I went from a corporate job where I wore a suit and tie every day for a big financial company to quitting the whole system and learning it on my own. I mean, I'm on a journey. I'm in, man.
You guys are going to have the best conversations. I think I just need to sit you two on stage and you just talk to each other.
Oh, I'd love to do a panel because, my version of off grid is this super modern. I have every amenity any other house has. I have big security. I have air conditioning. I have everything, but it's not to suggest that my way is the only way. It's just the only way I've found so far. I'm open to learning.
Yep.
Bring it on,
my background is as a corporate whore also.
Oh.
Actually, Jack says nobody wants to call themselves a corporate whore except me. And it's like, I played that game for a couple of decades.
Yeah.
I did software engineering and in fact, here's this is software that I wrote in 1994.
Okay.
And it did very, very well. And then later on, like of all the projects I worked on, there's not very many I can talk about. But one of them is that I designed the ground systems for the spacecraft that takes pictures for Google Earth, or at least they used to. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I wrote the predecessor to Google Earth. Only with my version, you could task the satellite to take new pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, that's, so long ago, whole different life.
Yep. I would welcome it. Like I said, I know one thing for sure, which is I'm human, which means I'm flawed. And because I'm flawed, I don't know everything. And it's cool. I know what I know because I've been down that road, but I'm in. Let's have a conversation. Let's get on a panel. I'm in.
The more you learn, the less you know.
That's true. That's how I feel about permaculture. There was a time when I thought I kind of understood what was going on. And I'm like, wow, this is a big world. There's a whole bunch of ways to apply this that I learn all the time.
Yeah, that's the thing about off-grid living, I think, that a lot of people don't understand. And I'm going to talk about this in, when I get up there and speak, just about the difference. The main difference is management, in my opinion. You live in a traditional home, everything's managed for you. And when you live off-grid, you're managing it all yourself. And it's learning how to manage through and be efficient in managing through all of these systems and processes. And I'm learning every day,
Yeah.
So when going off grid, I agree with what you're saying so much. So many people don't realize that it's like, okay, if you're going to go off grid and you're going to have solar, let's say, then it's like, you're going to need to know 20 times more about how that works than you want to know.
Yeah.
Now, I do believe that we are on the edge of getting to something where it's going to be very turnkey. Mm-hmm. Like you just set the box down and you plug in your solar panels and it just works and you don't think about it at all. I think we're super close to that. It'll be very modular.
Yeah.
But for now, there's so much you got to learn that you never wanted to learn. And it's like, and you got to be on top of it. And you're going to have 4 power outages a year. And now it doesn't just magically come back on. Like, we'll just wait. Did it come back on? No, you're going to have to go, and it's up to you to figure out what happened and how to mend it. Do you have a spare inverter sitting in a box gathering dust waiting for this moment? No,
I do. I have one of those. It's literally sitting in a box.
Waiting.
Yep.
It's the one I don't use.
Waiting for its moment to shine.
It's gonna shine. Well, you know, the first that I had that moment when the tornadoes came through Tennessee in 2020, and it knocked out all comms. Like, it knocked out cell phone, it knocked out internet, it knocked out power, it knocked out data centers. So actual telephones didn't work. And the only way anybody could communicate was ham radio or actual, like, the high frequency radio. That's the only way we got information. And of course, we had no power either. And I'm like, well, we got to keep our stuff from going bad. Get out that inverter and start the car. Does this really work? It was like the first time I'd ever done it. It worked. Thank goodness. So that's not what you should do, guys. You should actually use it before something like that happens. But yeah, that's not always how I roll. I don't like to lie about, you know, how I really did the thing that I tell you to do differently.
So
it's hard.
I'm looking forward to it. And I noticed that when I tapped in to begin with, you were like talking about all the things that were going to get talked about. So I missed that part. I'll have to look at a list later on or something and get up to speed on all the other stuff. I mean, I get the one when I'm not talking, I get to go and look at all the other things, right?
That's right, you do. And we have a really interesting, it's a very diverse, like, there's a lot of off-grid focus this time, which is cool because a lot of people are interested in figuring out how to take control of their energy life. And I'm glad that we have so many people in the network who can share different ways to do that. We also have 3 tactical presentations that are more like self-defense related. We have a lot of homesteading and growing food and preserving food. And then we have demonstrations. I call it like the makers demonstrations, where a skill like blacksmithing or welding or any of these things that people have forgotten how to do. Installing fence could happen. Somebody can show you how to stretch a fence. I don't know if that will happen at this one, but it has happened in the past. Those things pop up all over at the festival, and that's really fun too. I don't currently have an animal processing demonstration at this one. We've done rabbits, we've done pigs. We haven't done chickens yet, so I'll see if Willis has chickens still that he needs processed. So we might do something like that if it's there. But it's, you know, the other cool thing is to take tours of the property and see what's happened to what was essentially a rock quarry when he moved in. So anyway, so there's all sorts of stuff you'll be able to see. Plus you get to talk to really cool people. And as we were talking, I think, so we haven't locked in the entertainment for Saturday night, but there will be entertainment. I don't know if it's music or comedy or a combination of those things. I have reached out to somebody in our network who can help me find the right thing. So thank you. Tactical just brought me water on a platter like a waiter. Fizzy water. Yeah.
So fizzy.
Hey, I was going to ask Paul a question. You know, Paul, we've got a really good community here of a lot of people. So we have our own quasi-intentional community that I live in here in Northeast Kansas. And so there's homesteads being built almost every day. And I think a lot of these people could learn a lot from you. And I'd love to further our conversation on how to take that off-grid living, continue to push those boundaries to be a little better and a little efficient. I do it because I want to live free and I don't want no one to have stroke over me, and I want to be in control of my own life. But a lot of people do it for a lot of different reasons. But just to tell you, I would welcome the conversation. I mean, I'd absolutely welcome it.
I can put you guys in touch.
I feel like so much of what I know comes from, in fact, doing these events is awesome because you get to sit down next to other people and learn a mountain of stuff. I don't know how often it is I'm asked a question and it's like, oh, let me tell you about all the people I've talked to at the previous thing. So for example, it seems like every time I present, you know, because like when you're done presenting, there's usually like 8 or 9 people that come up afterwards and they want to say things and talk about things. About every time I present, there's somebody where it's like, okay, I got to tell you about where I'm at, and here's the problem I'm struggling with, and do you have any suggestions? And so and this comes down to, like, in my Permaculture Thorns book, which is the one that's not published yet, formally anyway.
But there's a draft out there you can totally read.
And a lot of people do. And it's like, I don't recommend it really. It's not finished, but apparently there's enough stuff there that people are getting traction. But there's there's three kinds of people that live in the country, and they're pretty much three evenly sized groups. Group one is people who live in the country, and it's delightful. Their neighbors are great. The government leaves them alone. Everything is peachy, or at the very least, they'll say that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's not the case, but they say it's the case. Everything is just delightful. And then there's a second group where there's struggle, and it's like their neighbor sprays onto their gardens, and or the government is saying you can't do that here, or whatever. There's all kinds of things, and that's the people from group two. I hear from at least one of those every time I present.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the people in group three, and all of them used to be in group two, and they moved. They're like, I want to move someplace that's at the end of the road.
Yep.
And then on top of that, when I get there, I'm not going to talk to anybody within 10 miles. And it's like they had their drama when they were in group two. And it's like, I just want to be left alone. I just want to do my off-grid thing and be left alone. Have some peace and delight. And yes, I love community, says the people in group three. They love community. But when it's close, those people that were so lovely somehow transform into somebody else. And or only what, because like we were talking earlier about it really only takes one person to kind of ruin the party.
Yes.
And it's like, and if you go out and you meet 100 lovely people, one of those lovely people suddenly becomes less than lovely. And it's like, okay, you know what? I don't want to move again. So I'm going to pick a place, and I'm going to, like, any relationships I build are more than 10 miles away. So if it goes sour, well, I'm 10 miles away. And so, sorry, we got to talking about the things that you learn. And I kind of feel like a lot of the stuff I learned is like, it's an indirect knowledge or a cumulative knowledge of all these different people bringing all of this different stuff. And no, you're right. It's like, there's just so much still to learn. And then it's like, and I kind of feel like we're in the internet age. We can adopt like 40 times more knowledge than we did 30 years ago. Because 30 years ago, we would read a book and we didn't know if the guy writing the book was a quack or not. And now we can get a lots more qualified information. We are relearning things from hundreds of years ago that were pretty much forgotten. But now, thanks to the internet, we can kind of pull that knowledge back, and we can enhance it with other knowledge that we've only learned in the last 10, 20 years. I think rocket mass heaters are a great example of that. It's got all the best from the masonry stoves, combined with new materials and new ideas on how to do it faster and quicker, like using duct and things, which wasn't available 300 years ago when they made them. So I think there's so much. This exchange of information that we can do today is phenomenal, and it's just a matter of how much information can you take in, and then plus in an efficient and beautiful and digestible way. How do you digest this new knowledge that's put in front of you? Can you digest it in this format or that format? Or you go to an event with a bunch of other people, and it's like, and now it's interactive. You can ask, if rather than just seeing a YouTube video, you can interact and say, well, yeah, but what about this thing?
Yeah. So 6 years ago, I went to an event, and I met Sean Mills from Hack My Homestead at that event. And that same year, I had him come to my house, which is on grid, and assess it for energy. Like I was like, he said, what? And we established like big picture goals. Basically, took the permaculture approach to my energy plan, and started peeling some things off. So I have a solar water heater. That was the first thing we did, because we looked at like my goals, my budget, what would make the biggest impact for the lowest expense, and that was it. it paid for itself in 2 years just by using the sun to heat water on my roof.
Mhm.
And we are doing our first solar install here in April.
Mhm.
And it's taken 6 years for it to make sense to go to solar because we've done
Mhm.
other things. There's a rocket mass heater in my pump house. There's not one in my house at this time, but I have a soapstone. But we've done a lot of different things. I've changed how the water, which is at the bottom of the hill, feeds my house so it can gravity feed to the house. So if I'm out of power, I can still wash my hands. And I think it's really cool that I just met him at an event, gave a presentation. He came up and talked to me. He was the first person that had a logical approach to how, like, if you're interested in off-grid things, what makes sense? How do you make a decision about what makes sense and where do you put your money versus not? A. And B, I had looked at panels, I had looked at batteries, and I have wired a house on traditional power, and I could not figure out how to make that other stuff work exactly with the things that I had. And he, in about 5 minutes, just explained it clearly. And I was like, oh, why didn't anybody ever say that? And it was just because he spoke my language and other people speak another language, apparently. So yeah, I love coming to events. Justin from 30 Days Reviews, he should be adminning this entire thing or facilitating this. He's been Justin, you're doing a great job. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a soapstone heater right now.
A soapstone stove, yeah.
Okay, and
that cut my wood use from what it was to about 1/10 of what it was when I did it, because I had a very inefficient cast iron boxwood stove heating this house before.
Wow, so you're heating your home with 1/10 the wood with the soapstone stove.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And a rocket mass heater would reduce that more based on what I've seen with the other one. I need to rebuild the one I built wrong, but it worked until it didn't.
Okay.
That's a different story for a different time.
Okay. All right. The thing I was getting at is like, now it's 100% of your heat, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think it would be of great value for you to carefully measure how much wood you use and like what's your kind of like your indoor temperatures with that. So like you could say, all right, if it's 1/10, maybe you were going through 12 cord a year before, and now it's like a little over 1.
I go through about 1, a little under 1.
A little under 1 cord a year right now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've gone through.
God, I wish.
Yeah, I know, but okay, so I'm not as cold as you are, Tag, at all. So like I haven't had a fire in 2 days here. And it's 68 degrees in my house. And it's at that temperature where, because I like it a little warmer than 68 degrees. But if I light a fire right now, it will be 90 in here. So, or maybe 85. And that's not what I'm going for. So I put my flannel on and I realized that it is what it is, because what my house is south facing. When the sun hits it again, it'll raise the temperature in the house just from the sun. So
nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have a weird situation. So part of my thing, Paul, that I'll talk to you about this probably when we're in person, is I've always thought rocket mass heater in my house when I do the big remodel that's on the someday list. But I feel like I need to pair it with something that will heat it quickly and for a short period of time, because of how our weather will go from 20 degrees for 3 days and then 70 and then 30 and then 60 and then 15 and those big switches go on for 4 or 5 weeks on either side of the season.
Here's what we've kind of learned with ours.
Yeah.
Is that like sometimes you might have a dozen people over for dinner, and then the house just gets hot from having all those people there, right?
Yeah.
You're opening up windows because it's too warm inside.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we'll have a dozen people over, and it doesn't get hot, and instead that mass is absorbing the extra heat. So what you're saying is that the temperatures will just bounce up and down all over the place. And our rocket mass heater with no fire in it whatsoever will
regulates that.
It regulates that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because I do know my house, once it's warm, and once it's cold because it's all stone.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it has, it has this is 12 inches thick right here. That's my south facing wall.
Okay.
And that, like, if it's cold in here, I know it's going to be a few hours before it starts feeling warm in the house once that stove gets lit, because that's all radiating cold right back at me until it's warm. So it's an interesting thing.
It seems like that wall would help to regulate the temperature in the house to kind of smooth it out.
It probably does smooth it out. I know it was originally designed for passive solar. I just didn't know that when I bought the house, because it was very, very, very trashed when I got it.
Okay.
So I found later that there used to be a greenhouse right over there, but what I had was broken glass. A lot of broken glass. So anyway, cool, guys. Let's go once around the horn, because we're a little over an hour here, and some of us have realized it's country midnight. So I don't know. Tell people how to follow you, whatever you want to say. Let's start with you, Paul.
Permies.com is kind of like the central hub of about 15 different websites. I think there's lots of, if you just go to Permies.com, there's lots of direction from there. We give away a lot of free stuff, like that thing where if you get this free thing, then you can sign up for our emails, or if you sign up for our emails, you get this free thing. But the most recent one, somebody made some plans that were really nice for rocket mass heater plans. But we've got jumping off points for all of our products and the forums and, the community, stuff like that. Podcasts, YouTube channel, it's all there.
Cool. And 30 Days of Reviews has got our back on that with links in the comments. Yeah. Thank you for that, Justin.
Oh, I just got my silver play button from YouTube just like a couple days ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Lonnie, do you want to say anything about Self-Reliance Festival, or did we put you to sleep?
I'm not asleep, but we all know it's selfreliancefestival.com. Hit the tickets button.
Yeah. Tag, what do you got for us?
Yeah, you can find me at Life Done Free on YouTube, and then freestudying.com as far as the social media platform goes. But most importantly, you can find me at the Self-Reliance Festival, right?
That's right. Selfreliancefestival.com, March 25th and 26th.
I look forward to seeing everybody. Paul, thank you for your advice tonight. I appreciated it, and I look forward to learning more from you, bud.
Yeah, cool.
I look forward to learning more from you too.
Yep.
And this is Tag's station here. It's at Life Done Free, in case you want to try to catch up with him. Guys, I'm Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee, and I am also transmitting on John Willis's channel, Special Operations Equipment, with permission, just because it's, this festival is an effort of both of our networks. We're hoping to see you there. And I saw one question before we go. Did we cover volunteering for SRF? I don't know, but send me an email, Nicole, Nicole, at livingfreeintennessee.com, or go to selfreliancefestival.com and fill out the contact form. Those will come to us as well. Let us know you're interested in volunteering, and we'll filter you into the volunteer network. And that's my YouTube channel, because Justin's got my back. This is the Special Operations Equipment YouTube channel. Guys, thanks so much for being on the broadcast tonight.
Of course.